sorry that took me a second.
No, you are all good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I had to I tried to go in with my iPad and it wasn't letting me in, so I just my phone, and that's why you can only see half my face.
No problem at all. You gotta love technology. Great stuff.
I've I've learned a lot about technology in the last year. I'm still not an expert at it. I'm gonna
That is all right. That's all right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Chicago. We're happy to have you here. I want to get started off with a few fun questions just to get to know you a little bit, if that sounds good to you.
Sounds great.
All right, all right. So on your Instagram stories, you asked people to ask you what your favorite Pixar movie was. So we have to know, what is it?
It's my favorite Pixar movie. I love a lot of them because they're all brilliant. But my favorite one is A Bug's Life, which is long forgotten because it was only, I think, number 2 in their catalog, and a lot of people forget about it, but it is my favorite. I love it.
Well, you never know. Maybe it'll make its way to the stage one day.
That'd be interesting.
All right. So you've been on tour for the past a little over a year now. What is your most favorite city that you've been to so far?
Yeah, actually, it's funny because yesterday was our year anniversary of when we started rehearsal. So it's been literally a year. My favorite city that I've performed, we've been in so many cities, so many great ones. I gotta say, Bloomington, Indiana was a favorite. I just love the city. I love that little kind of collegey town. It was the fall, so the trees were beautiful. We had a great time in Boston, well, which we just came back from a few weeks ago. We were in Boston. And Chicago. I've never been to Chicago before. And I'm not just saying that to suck up. I really am enjoying this city. It's so beautiful. And last night's audience was incredible. One of the best we've ever had, honestly. Yeah.
Well, we're happy to have you here. It's a really great city, and you are spending a few days here. So for
Yep.
all of you who are watching, if you have recommendations for Bryan for things to try and do in Chicago, put them in the comments.
Please do comments. I'd love to see. Madeline, who you spoke with the other day, who's our countess, she took me to have deep dish pizza the other day, and that was an experience.
All right. Well, the big question is, where did you get deep dish pizza?
Oh my gosh. I'm not gonna say it right because I don't remember the name. It was Gia something Zos.
Giordano's. Yeah.
What was it?
Giordano's.
Giordano's. That's it.
That is pretty.
It was
That's
great.
good. That's good. All right. Do you have a go-to comfort food?
Pie. Pie is my favorite. Is my favorite food in the world. Anything enwrapped in a pastry is my favorite.
Do you have a favorite pie?
Do I have a favorite pie? I love all pie. My favorite pie is lemon meringue. That's number 1. Fluffy meringue is like heaven. It's delicious. I love a strawberry rhubarb pie.
Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. All right. And to wrap this up, I am very curious. You were just at the Emmys. Can you tell us why and what that experience was like?
That was an insane. It's so funny. It was basically a friend of my parents, who my parents went on this Antarctica excursion. They go everywhere, but they met this woman that she's always traveling. She's always doing different things, and we met up with her for lunch the other day when I was in California. And she was supposed to go to the Emmys. She bought them at like a charity auction or something. I think that's the only way you can get in unless you're like a nominee, right? And so she had an extra ticket because her friend couldn't come. She had to do some personal thing that came up. So she had this ticket, and my dad basically volunteered me to go there, which was just like, bless him. He was like, you should go because, this is something you'd probably enjoy, and what an opportunity. So I went, and it was a blast. It was such a cool experience to see it because we only watched it on TV. Right? Most of us just watched it on TV. So it was a really interesting perspective when you see like everything that happens off camera and like in the commercial breaks and things like that. It was really fun. Vlad would have loved it.
So good, so good. Well, I want to start really at the beginning of your career and what really sparked your love for acting and performing.
I was a TV kid. I loved television. Um, so I think that's what really sparked my interest. Particularly, I was the kid that grew up with Sesame Street and the Muppets and all those things that Jim Henson created. This is so random, but it's true. That really got me interested in like music and thinking, man, like that looks like fun. It looks like they're having a good time. I kind of want to do that. And so I was in plays in school and in high school and I just had the best time. I loved being on stage and just bringing joy to people and making them laugh and it was just so much fun. So I thought I wanted to do it as a career, and so I went to school. I went to a conservatory program called PCPA, Pacific Conservatory of Performing Arts in California, and I was just fully immersed in theater, which was a different thing than television because with theater it's that immediate like relationship um, with the audience, which I really really loved. It just felt so good to get that response from the audience. Um, and that's basically it. But my one of my professors there um, said something at the very very beginning. Actually, kind of a side note. When I first went there, we'd only been there for like a week at the conservatory before 9/11, the events of 9/11 happened. Um, so we were all kind of gathered. We were supposed to audition for Peter Pan, the production of Peter Pan that we were doing. And they ended up canceling it because of the event. And so instead we gathered in the studio and we were just there for each other. And we were just, it was this wonderful community. And we barely knew each other. And I thought like, this is like another little family. And that's another thing I love about theater is that you build this family outside of your blood family. Um, this wonderful community, and I love working with other people and collaborating and that that ping pong back and forth of not just on stage but just in life, like really having a sense of community. But one of my professors said uh, our job as artists is so important, especially at a time like this, that we use our art to help change the world. And I know that sounds like the kind of I don't know what you want to call that, but like that really stuck out to me, and I've been holding on to that for like 20 years. That we do this to change the world, even like a little bit at a time, even just to like make someone laugh or bring them joy for 2 hours. That's what I love to do, and I feel like I'm on this earth to do that, to make people feel good and to make people happy and to make them laugh and smile. And that's all I want to do.
Absolutely. Well, I do want to talk about Anastasia, but you mentioned how, uh, watching Sesame Street and the Muppets, and I want to briefly talk about first that you are a puppeteer. Can you
Yeah,
tell
I
a bit
am.
about your work in that and like what like uh Clyde Snail, your web series with
Like Snail, yeah. I started this web series in during the pandemic during 2020, when there was nothing else to do. And I thought that it was something that I'd wanted to do for so long. I got into puppetry as a career um, not too long ago, but it was something that was always an interest, of course. And I realized that I was pretty good at it naturally, and I wanted to do um, what I grew up loving, which was all those things, Sesame Street and the Muppets and this art form that brought me so much joy. I wanted to do that, and so I created this web series called Brian's Backyard, and it was just this simple thing of just like I was in my parents' backyard because I was staying with them for that year, and I had Clyde Snail, which was this character that I created, that I just drew. And I have a friend who used to be a puppeteer or a puppet builder for Henson. and I gave it to him, and he built this beautiful, beautiful snail that's loosely based on my cousin, whose nickname is Snail. She is a whole story, but she had leukemia, and that was sort of her mascot when she was, you know, fighting and doing the the walks and all that stuff. And so it's this little snail, and I created him, and we were doing these backyard adventures, and yeah, it's just really fun. And I haven't been working with him since I started the tour, but I'm thinking about bringing him on the road at some point, and we'll see. We'll do some like on the road things. But yeah, he's just the best. I miss him. It's so fun I brought him up because yeah, more with him.
Absolutely. All right, now I want to jump to Anastasia, and specifically, I want to talk about just the chemistry between you and Madeline. Spectacular, and
Oh,
especially during the song "The Countess" and "The Common Man."
uh-huh.
I was in the audience last night, and everyone was just roaring in laughter. It was so much fun. When you were in that rehearsal process, was all of the interaction between you two completely staged, or were you and Madeline given a little bit of creative freedom?
A little bit of both. There were obviously benchmarks. It was obvious. It was mapped out for sure. I mean, it kind of has to be, especially when, you know, and we just met each other literally. And so, like, to get into something like that, which is very intimate and physical, and um, but the chemistry was, I think we got lucky. We got so lucky. It just like it's one of those lightning in a bottle kind of situations. Um, where we just had we have this wonderful like ping pong, this back and forth, and we have so much fun. And even though it was mapped out, there's still those little in between moments. um you know, like they give us the outline, but it's also up to us to color it in, you know what I mean? So um it kind of evolved over time, some of the extra things and the in between moments between the moments. um yeah, so some of it's improvised, some of it is. It's not always the same every night, which makes it really fun. And we have this great trust too, that like we know that whatever happens on stage, we're gonna have just the best time, and we do.
So good, so good. Do you, as a cast, do something a little bit different each night for the show, before the show, any pre-show rituals?
um I know that some people do like a little circle up uh at the beginning on the stage when it's dark behind the curtain, just a little breathing moment. um for me, I just kind of I like to kind of walk into the theater, and kind of what gets me going is watching everyone else and listening to everyone else, because I don't come in for like a good maybe 10 minutes. So they kind of fuel me up a little bit. They kind of get me going and kind of get me into the world and get me into the mood, and it's just so much fun. um yeah, we have so much fun on stage. It never feels the same, but yeah, it's always the best.
Good. Well, we are nearing the end of our time, but to round us out, what do you hope people leave with after seeing Anastasia?
Well, there's so much going on in the show. I mean, obviously with there's the historical stuff, but it's really the the journey of this young girl, trying to find her where she belongs and her family, and a loving home. I hope that people are inspired by her story, the strong, independent woman, just her strength and everything. But at the end of the day, I hope people just walk away with a smile in their heart, because it's just such a wonderful, beautiful story. It's very kind of classic musical theater in a way, but it's I just hope people just walk away with joy, because it really is a joyful show, and it's a positive show, and I think it's an encouraging show, and every single character, um, someone walks away loving so much.
Bryan, thank you so much for taking the
Thank
chat. Y'all, if you haven't seen Anastasia yet, or maybe if you have and you want to come see it again, come on out. It's at the CIBC Theater until this Sunday only. It's only here for a week, so you won't want to miss it. If you want to keep up with Bryan and all of what he's doing in his life, you can find him on Instagram at Bryan Seastrom. And if you want to keep up with all of his fantastic puppeteer work, at Bryan's Backyard. Is that correct?
That's right. Yep.
There we go. Alrighty. Well, Bryan, thank you so much for everyone who tuned in. Thank you so much. And we'll see you at the theater soon.
Thank you. See you there.